Can you see my screen, everyone? Okay, so
Oh yeah, great.
okay, so hi everyone, my name is Olu. I'm gonna compare the legal education between Lagos State University, which is in Lagos, Nigeria, and Georgia State University, which is in Georgia, Atlanta. I'm gonna start with the pathway to becoming a lawyer, and compare the pathway between the two countries and states rather and universities. So in Nigeria, you start as an undergraduate and you write the West African Senior School Certificate exam. That's after leaving high school. You also write the JAM exam and pick your university in the form. The higher your score, the JAM score, the better chances of you getting into the university of your choice. But if you don't get into the university of your choice, you can always pick other universities or wait another year, and then you write the whole JAM thing again. In Georgia, I guess you start as you're already an, oh, sorry. Oh, I think I made a mistake there. You're already a graduate of a related course. And then you start the process of application to be a lawyer through LSAC. Okay. And then you have 5 years as in the university in Nigeria and 1 additional year in law school. International students have 2 years in law school. And then once you pass the bar, you're qualified to work as a lawyer and be called to the bar, or rather once you pass the bar exams. And then the legal education is supervised by the Council of Legal Education in Nigeria. So there's only one law school with, I think, six campuses, and it's all regulated by one body. While in Georgia, or Georgia State University, or the US, there are, I think you start as a JD, and then to become a JD, you have to have like 2 to 3 years. There's also provision for international students, which we are in, the course which we are in. And I believe the College of Law are in control of their own affairs. I'm not too sure, but I think they're more in control. And that's it. That's a picture of the Lagos State University gates and the Council of Legal Education gate. Oh, I'm sorry, I have one more slide. Other differences, aside from the educational pathway, the other differences I noted are the style of teaching. In Nigeria, it's very rigid. You have to write down what the lecturer says in class, or they sell handouts, they sell textbooks, and they want to know you read their work. So if you don't, even if you put your own opinion, you might fail the course. You need to write down what they wrote down. The dress code also for law school students in Nigeria is black and white. It's very, very controlled. The ladies wear skirts, nothing showing, no colorful hair, simple earrings. While in Georgia State University, students are called upon they want to know what you're thinking. They want to get your opinion on certain topics. There's no dress code. I believe you should dress smart, basically. And that's it. So once again, these are the pictures of the 3 educational, legal educational providers. And the last one is, thank you. Yeah.
Very nice. Thank you so much. Oh, that's wonderful.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So you said law school takes only 1 year?
Yeah, in Nigeria, yes.
Oh, okay.
So if you're coming from a Nigerian university, yes, 1 year.
Got it. Thanks.
That's wonderful. Any other questions? Thank you, Olu.
That was wonderful. Thank you. Yeah, that was great, Olu. Thank you.
Is Dean Roy here?
I am here.
Oh, good. Where are you?
Good evening, everyone.
Oh, good. There he is. Can you share your screen?
Gonna try.
All right. Technology.
I'm learning.
We all are. Great.
Can you see?
Yes. Well, we will in a second. Yep, there it is. Okay.
All right, so good evening, everyone. Everyone hearing me?
Good evening, sir.
Hi, good evening. All right, so I'd like to give a brief overview of the legal education system in Jamaica. So I actually, I would call myself an hybrid student because I did my LLB in Jamaica, but with classes at the University of London. And so having finished that, we have a course of education at the Norman Manley Law School, where I got my certificate in legal education. So I'd like to talk a little bit more about the experience at the Norman Manley Law School. The difference, as you would see it with the Bachelor's of Law degree that I would have done at the University of London, that would be a 3-year program. Typically, to matriculate to do that, you would have to have advanced level. Normally, we do that with the Cambridge University, and having matriculated, we attend LLB program. So the program, as I indicated, will last for 3 years. And then we have a 2-year program at the Norman Manley Law School, which is mostly what I will be talking about. Norman Manley Law School is one of the 3 law schools in the Caribbean that provides legal education for students who have obtained their bachelor's and who would have to be admitted to the bar in order to practice law. Now, for the University of the West Indies students, the entrance to the Norman Manley Law School is automatic. And I know that my colleague from Guyana, I think Melissa, would have spoken somewhat about having done some years 2 years in Guyana and then move on to the Norman Manley Law School. The program is 2 years, and there you engage in much like what we do here, which is many issues as it relates to procedural law, not so much of the substantial law. We do civil procedure 1 and 2, just the same, criminal practice and procedure. We would do matters of evidence, matters of family law, as well as matters of succession law, probate practice, etc. And after that, after the 2 years, well, in both years you have to sit a 1-shot exam. So, well, we had some assignments in the interim, but most of all, it was a 1-shot exam that you would do at the end of each year. And at the 2nd year, if you are successful, you are presented, well, you are able to graduate and you are presented with your legal education certificate. But subsequent to that, now you have to file papers with the General Legal Counsel and with the Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court would hear an application from you for entrance to the practice of law in Jamaica. And once the Supreme Court accepts and admits you you are essentially what we call called to the bar. So important thing that you must have recommendations from practicing attorney. You must hold a certificate of good conduct and a certificate of enrollment with the General Legal Counsel I would have outlined. The practice of law in Jamaica is important. It is important for you to maintain your practice, to have continuing education. We call that continual legal professional development credits. And so all the attorneys that are practicing in Jamaica have to maintain that. That's courses of studies over the year that would have ensured that you continue to be practice and keep yourself on the roll. Good conduct and professional ethics is very, very important. Lawyers' honesty, especially in dealing with clients, is important. Lawyers' professionalism is very critical. Now, as I looked at the Juris Doctor, as I indicated before, the JD in the US, some of my colleagues have outlined that typically you would have to have a first degree before you're able to do that. In Jamaica, you can just leave your high school program and you go and you pursue your LLB. Typically, the LLB is full time, and of course, over time, you get a lot of experience. I must say that the program with Georgia State, I must say that I am getting used to the interaction with the technological infrastructure. And so I must say I'm trying to catch up because I struggle a little bit with that because I'm used to the face-to-face interaction. And so I know that my Professor Lola, she has to be a little bit like me, and I'm trying to see if I can meet her where she is. And I really appreciate the help, Professor. But I'll get there. I'm sure I'll get there with the technology. So in a sense, I am learning. I enjoy the interactions with the colleagues, and I look forward to continuing with the program and to gain strength as we go along. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dean Roy. Thank you very much. So are you all set? Dean Roy, that you're done? Does anyone have any questions?
Yes, Prof. I got a question, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I just joined now, but I couldn't join before now because I don't have the Zoom link on my iCollege notification. It was somebody that sent me the link that I joined through now. I don't know why.
Do you need me to send you the link? Is that what you're saying?
No, somebody already sent it to
Okay.
me, but I didn't get it on my notification.
Oh, okay.
It should be in your announcements. Are you getting announcements on your iCollege page? When you go to your iCollege homepage for this class, you should see an announcement with the link and the meeting ID and the password.
Okay, I'll try that out.
Great. And I think now, Ashish, are you ready?
Yes, sir.
All right, all charged up? Can you share your screen?
Yes, sir.
Oh, there it goes.
Yeah, you guys could see it, right?
We can see it. It looks great.
Okay. Yeah, okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Ashish Joshi. I'm from Nepal. Okay, and like going through this legal education in Nepal. So when it comes to Nepal, like it just started, the model legal education, like it just started around 1950s. Prior to 1951, we used to have direct rule from the king. So it used to be like the whole country used to be ruled in basically Hindu philosophy actually. So after like armed revolution in 1951, first time like Nepal, we started democratic system of government with constitutional monarch. So during that time, like the concept of independence of government, like independence of judiciary was like pretty new concept for us. So we established like Supreme Court in Nepal. But like the thing is that like we don't even have like people who could become a judge. So, you know, the first judge of Nepal for Supreme Court was from India. So with the establishment of judiciary and like in 1951, for the first time, like we started a law school in Nepal in 1960s actually. So for the first time, while we established a law school in Nepal, we took affiliation from Indian University, Patna University in India. So in 1960s, we started a first law school. The basic reason for starting a law school in Nepal was the people like the then democratic government. What they did was like they started a common law system in Nepal as well as like adversarial system in Nepal. So, you know, like for the adversarial system, we needed like more lawyers in Nepal. So in 1960s, they started a law school in Nepal. So first time in 1975 only, like independently in Nepal, like this Nepal Law Campus, it started a LLB program, actually 3 years LLB program. So for getting the 3 years LLB program, one need to have like a bachelor's first, and then they apply for law school. So, and then like in 2001, actually, I made it wrong here, 2010 actually. In 2001, we started like 5 years LLB program. So what was the division was like first 2 years, it's basically, it's more like 3 choices actually. You can get like BSc LLB or like BBA LLB or like BA LLB. For 2 years, you study like more the subject relating to like other like, not like non-law subject. Basically, it's like what I took was history, literature for 2 years, and then at 3 years will be like only law school, like totally basic law classes. So that's how like the 5 years course was designed. So when it comes to Nepal, like as like other countries, it's basically it's like a lecture method. So what the teachers does is like they come to class and then we have like random lectures, and it's mostly like, you know, like since Nepal, like it just started this common law system in 1950s. So basically we used to study like Indian cases and British cases, but like hardly I remember like learning any American cases while I was in Nepal. So, and when it comes to like studying law in Nepal, here it's more like, you know, they teach us like Iraq method. So in Nepal, it was more like they teach us like fact, like how to analyze fact kind of law. So basically that's how we studied. And okay, and this is the Supreme Court of Nepal, actually. And this is the Kathmandu School of Law. Like this is the place where I studied actually. So it's pretty new college actually. Okay, that's it actually. Thank you guys. I couldn't hear you guys actually.
Thank you very much. That was great.
Yeah, that was great. And it's so beautiful. The pictures are so beautiful. I'm curious, I've wondered this since I first met you. How many people take the bar exam in Nepal? There's just one for the whole country every year, right?
Yes, ma'am. Like, cause you know, like, it's like in average, like 600 people a year. The thing is that like hardly like around 120 or 130 people pass this graduate every year actually. So, you know, like very few people pass. So people like taking bar is like lots of them actually.
So 600 or 700 people take it in Nepal every year, and only how many pass? 100 and how many?
Like 120.
Wow, that's not many. Wow, wow. Well, I'm glad that you passed, and I think I remember that you did really, really well on it, if I'm remembering correctly. Well, we're glad that you're among us. That was a great presentation.
Thank you so much, Ashish.
And actually, I'm in college, ma'am.
Pardon?
Pardon me?
Actually, I'm in college, like I'm inside the building, GSU.
Oh, are you really?
Yes, ma'am.
Huh. I'm trying to recognize where you are. Oh, that must be the stairs behind you.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that stairs?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
because I thought that was like a shutter behind you. I thought you were sitting outside at home and that's a shutter. But you, oh, good. Are you going to attend the 755 class in person?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great. I think Renee is tonight as well. So you and Renee will be live. You know what you need to do, Ashish, is we need to find you a seat for that 755 class. So let's talk about that between classes, okay?
Okay, ma'am. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And Melissa, are you ready? You got to unmute.
Hello, everyone. Are you hearing me?
Yes?
Okay.
Yes.
Should I share my screen now?
Yeah.
Let me try. This is my first PowerPoint. Have I been able?
Try it. Yeah. You should be able to share the screen. It may take a moment.
Share. Share.
We love technology. Here it comes.
So you're seeing the screen?
Yeah, you got to remove you got to minimize your Zoom thing there. Yeah.
Nice. Zoom.
Minimize it. Yeah. There you go.
You're seeing?
Yeah. Make that one bigger.
Bigger. Okay. You're seeing now?
Perfect.
Okay.
All right. It's all yours, Melissa.
Okay. So good evening to my wonderful professors and my lovely colleagues. I will get right into the presentation. It's my maiden presentation with respect to PowerPoint. Legal education in Guyana, South America, the difference between then and now. So Guyana is a beautiful country of 83,000 square miles located on the northeastern coast of South America. Its bordering neighbors are Venezuela, Venezuela West, Brazil, Southwest, and South. We have Suriname East and the Atlantic Ocean North. It is the only English-speaking country in South America. It is known for the world's largest single drop waterfall by the volume of water flowing over it, the Kaieteur Falls. It has the longest drop of 741 feet or 226 meters and average width of 371 feet and or 113 meters. So that's the Kaieteur Falls, and of course this is Guyana, and positionally south in South America. Oh, sorry, I need to get back to my original, the second. Let me see. Okay. Okay. Yes, legal education. Well, I was born on the 14th of September, 1964. This is fun. I am one of two girls, twins, born to Shirley Robertson. Of course, she's alive, and Thomas Robertson, he's deceased, who both had distinguished careers in the field of education. They were both head teachers. I was admitted to the first year of the LLB program, Bachelor of Law program, in the early 80s at the University of Guyana, Turkana campus. In 1988, I completed the second and third years of the LLB at University of the West Indies, Cave Hill campus, Barbados. Thereafter, I proceeded to Hewarding Law School, where I spent 2 years pursuing the legal education certificate and graduated in 1990. This certificate qualified one for admission to practice at the bar. Thereafter, through the distance learning program, I obtained an LLM in international dispute resolution from the University of London. So this is a building, University of Guyana building. This represents Cave Hill campus. This Trinidad, Hewarding Law School. And there's a logo that is marked Fiat Justitia, which means, of course, let justice be done. And this is the London, University of London coat of arms. So then there were no computers. The years were filled with reading a lot, studying solo or with a colleague, traveling to and attending classes at different lecture theaters, gathering case materials or legal researching by taking the worksheets into the library and with a colleague or alone, removing a few case books from the bookshelves, placing them on a table or a desk, extracting by handwriting or photocopying the facts, issues, what was held, and the ratio decidendi or the ratio, the reason for the decision. Dissenting judgments were not a focus. I hardly had time for a lot of fun except during the universities and law schools vacation breaks. Now, of course, I'm enrolled at the LLM bar track preparation as a student of Georgia State University College of Law for the 2020-2021 year. My experience in this brief time, well, about 3 weeks now, is manifestly different because of the COVID environment. Traveling to and from classes is a rarity. Classes are held virtually, synchronously and asynchronously, and to a lesser extent, on site, live. Reading and studying materials can be found or bought online. Some library resources can be accessed online also. Computers are an indispensable facilitator for the virtual classes. The instructors are not aloof, but engaging, approachable, warm. They encourage you even when your head is spinning due to the general downpouring of assignments. I am grateful that I have been accepted at GSU College of Law. I do hope that I can make a difference in the lives of those who seek my help and to others who may be aware or oblivious of my contribution to their lives. God bless you and thank you for listening. This is the representation of GSU, and these are my photos in my youthful years.
That's wonderful, Melissa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was great. Thank you so much. I especially liked the waterfall picture at the beginning. Now I have another place that I have to visit. And also I love your description of the downpouring of assignments at the College of Law. So every time I see a waterfall now, I'm going to think of the downpouring of assignments at the College of Law.
And
I should end.
thank you so much, Melissa. Yep.
You're welcome.
And who is next? Kokibe, am I saying your name right? How do I say your name, Kokibe? You're muted.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello. How you doing, sir?
Good. How do I say your name? Can you just help me?
Kokibe.
Kokibe. Okay, great.
There.
Are you ready? Can you share your screen?
No, I'm not tech savvy like my wife, so I want you to share for me.
Okay, let me see if I can find this real quick. Hold on. Oh, come on now. Come on. All right. All right, let me see if I can't get this thing shared with you now. How does that look? Can you see that?
Yes, sir.
All right. It's all yours. You can just make a signal to me if you want me to move the slide.
All right. All right. All right. Thank you, sir. Hi, everyone. My name is Kokiba Sanami. So it's a little bit scanty, but I will just try as much as possible to see if I can say a little bit about my law school experience in Nigeria. I am a Nigerian trained lawyer. I attended Ambrose Lee University, Ekpoma in Edo State, that's the south side of Nigeria, and proceeded from there to the Nigerian Law School, and got called to the bar in 2007. And my experience at the law school was a good one in the sense that law school in Nigeria is, as at the time I gained admission, was a little bit competitive in the sense that law graduates were like outnumbered the spaces they had at the law school. So it was very competitive at that time, but I was fortunate enough to get admitted, and like I said, got called in 2007. And comparing law school experience in Nigeria to the United States, precisely Georgia State, there are a lot of differences as to tuition and we call it back home school fees. You got to pay your school fees yourself. I mean, by maybe your parents or your relatives supporting you in school and all that. But like in Georgia, in the US, you got to have get a student loan to do all of that. And talking about the basic requirements, you know, to study law in Nigeria, one needs 5 credit in an ordinary level. Then from there, get a JAM form, that's Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board exams. And every school, every faculty of law in Nigeria, in the Nigerian universities have their own cutoff mark. You know, you got to have a minimum score as it is in the SAT and the ACT back here. And from there, if one is successful in the JAM exam, then get admission to the Faculty of Law of the university. Then after 5 years, proceeds to the law school. And I think that will be the second slide. Is that the third one now? Okay. Yeah, I briefly talked about comparison between Nigeria and the United States. You know, in Nigeria, assignments are like due after every class, and in the United States, assignments are like due the very first day in class. You know, that was like surprising to me. Go back home, you got to be lectured on a particular course before assignment is given. Then back then, you know, there was no computer, laptops for students, so everything was handwritten, and students kind of shared textbooks. Of course, textbooks are expensive. Then particularly in my school, the dress code was compulsory. You got to be on black and white, like you got to put on a suit, a dark suit and a white shirt. And throughout Monday through Friday, you got to dress, you know, corporately to go to school. And I think that, law school was the same experience too. And the next slide, I think the last one. Weather back home is like summer all through the year. So, except in June, July, that, you know, that's we call it raining season back home. It rains almost all the time, but aside of that, the weather is always very hot. And the next, as a foreign trained lawyer, I would have, you know, I would have to take the LLM program to be eligible to write the bar exams. So, though when I came in, I made inquiries as to writing the bar exams in the United States, and some of my friends that were already here told me there are some states like California, New York, and I think Texas. You don't need an LLM program to be eligible to write the bar. You just register for it and write the bar exam. But this is what we find in Georgia. But it's a good experience. So I'm so happy that I'm doing it at the Georgia State, and I hope that the best comes out of it. That's my very short story. And then one other addition, like I wanted to add to the Georgia, in Nigeria, you know, every lawyer, male, female, is addressed as gentlemen. You know, we don't have ladies in the legal profession in Nigeria, and I think some of my colleagues that studied in the UK, because whatever we got in Nigeria, was adopted. You know, we adopted the UK system, and I don't know if it's still in existence in the UK, but in Nigeria, you know, female lawyers are, you know, are addressed as gentlemen. So, but in the United States, there's nothing like that. So that's my short story, and I'm happy to be here. Thank you. Okay.
Thank you, Kokebe.
Sure.
Unmute. Okay, I know I'm on mute. Sorry about that. I was just talking away saying how great that was, and nobody heard me but me and my four walls in my office. That was great, Kokebe. Thank you for sharing that with us. I may have missed this, but I'm just curious. How many states are there in Nigeria? So how many bar exams in the entire country?
Just one, but we got 36 states.
Okay. All right. I misunderstood something there. Thank you for clearing it up.
Okay. Thank you.
And Renee, you ready, sir? Welcome to Georgia.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm ready.
Can you share your screen?
I can try.
All right, give it a try. See what happens.
Yes. All right. You guys see this? Or
yes.
All right. I apologize in advance for the poor PowerPoint design. I quickly added some photos in the end, just because you guys all had amazing photos, so I figured I might as well add some too. And so this is the Danish flag you're seeing on the first photo, and some bonus info is that this is the oldest flag in the world that is still in use, the oldest national flag. Don't know what you're gonna use with that info, but so now you know it. All right, legal paradigms. So in Denmark and most of Europe, actually, we inherit or we use the civil code system, whereas here in Georgia or in the US, except Louisiana, right, they use the common law system. And this makes a big difference because our whole legal system is based way more on legal codes and stuff. I'll tell you a bit more about it later, but it's way more regulated, which is pretty much the biggest difference. So the legal school in Denmark, and I guess most of Europe, maybe not England, but the mainlands of Europe, it will be a 3 years bachelor's degree. After, straight out of high school, you go to law school for 3 years, and then you have to take the bar exam. No, I'm sorry. Then you have to take a master's degree, which is also an LLM, and that's a 2 years school. So I've done that, but then afterwards you work and take the bar exam after that, after you have some work experience. Yeah. Next slide. Teaching at a law school in Denmark, that usually we have pretty much the same courses as you see here at GSU, like constitutional law and other private laws and civil procedure and stuff. So, but the common thing in Denmark is that the professors, they write their own books. So you have to buy their book, of course. I mean, that makes them, they earn a little extra. But I mean, they're good books usually, and the main thing is that it's less case-based, so you don't learn by hearing cases. You learn the law about learning about the codes. So the professor usually, when you talk about some subject, some legal subject, the professor will introduce the code, the legal code, and then he will explain how it is used in practice. And sometimes he will refer to a case, a legal case, but not every time. Yeah, the big thing is also there's more lecturing classes. So it's usually bigger classes. There can be 100 people, maybe more, and it's just one professor and he speaks out to everyone. So we also have some small classes, but mostly it's lecturing, and it's an efficient way to teach a lot of students, but sometimes it fails with making sure that every student is on point and doesn't get lost, I think. Which is what I like with the way that you guys saw. The way it's done here in the States, it's more everyone's, it's more conversational. So yeah, there's no participation requirement in Denmark. I had a colleague where I worked at a law firm before, and she did her whole lawsuit. This was before COVID, so there was no online, but so she did her whole law school while living in the Netherlands, and she just came home for the exams. So that was pretty much, and because there's no one actually cares if you're there, but they just care about you doing your exams. Yeah, but the exams are tough, so you gotta like either prepare or you gotta be there, kind of. Yeah, and we don't have any midterms. There's no grading along the semester. It's just that one exam that everything really builds up to. I guess that also has its pros and cons comparing to the States. Whereas it's the same flaw, I guess, that no one is really, you don't really know if you're behind or not until the exam, until you get the final grade. The pro might be that you have that freedom to maybe live with you in Netherlands, like my old colleague. Yeah, so exams in a Danish law school usually they're either written or oral exams. And a written would be like an open book, 3 to 5 hours, and you just hit at it. That's pretty much, I would say, like the same as some exams here. And then we have the oral exams. Those many people fear them. They usually it's like a 20-minute conversation, and you walk into, you don't know what you're going to talk about before. You know it's going to be something that your professor has taught you, but you don't know what. So you walk into this classroom and there's a bunch of paper sheets with its backside up, and you pick one, and it's just a number, and it's a number assigned to one of the subjects that you have to talk about. And yeah, you just fire away. You have to talk for these 20 minutes, introduce the subject, and the professor will ask you questions. There's also some other censor who is an official to make sure the exam is held properly. I wrote this also in my essay, but I had a constitutional class back home, and I remember one student asked about the oral exam. This was the beginning of law school, and the professor answered that an oral exam is like going to the dentist. The professor will look for holes, and when he finds one, he will drill. But I mean, it's not that bad, but some people kind of fear it. I actually like it, but yeah. All right, so I added these photos. This is the law school I went to in Denmark. It's in a city called Aarhus, which is the second biggest city in Denmark. Yeah, it's very nature-ish. Thanks. And I'm also very grateful to be here. Very grateful. Thanks.
Thank
That
you,
was
Randy.
super. Yeah, that was super. I have a couple of questions, 2 questions,
Sure.
really. The first one is, which did you prefer, the 20-minute oral examination or the written examination that took 3 to 5 hours?
I actually prefer the oral exam because it's very stressful right up till you walk into that classroom. As soon as you're in there, at least that's how I feel. Some students began to cry and stuff, so they don't like it. But as soon as I walked into the classroom, everything disappeared, and I was just on point. And and the good thing is that it's quick. You get your grade right after, because they grade you right after, so it's over. And yeah, I just liked it. And when it's the conversation based, I mean, you can try to amend if you said something that's a little bit wrong, you can try to amend it by clarifying, and you just have a bit more freedom that way. Did you have another question?
Okay. Yeah, I did. And actually, this is a question not just for you, but I think am I correct, Dr. Bunting, that we're at the end of our presentations now?
I believe Angela's still going to go.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Angela, forgive me. How could I forget? So, Renee, you were the mere penultimate presentation. Our grand finale is Angela. Forgive me. So this is premature then. I'll ask this question to everybody, but I'm going to first ask it to Renee. A lot of you in your presentations have talked about your professors, and I hear the pronoun. I had to think about what part of speech it was, Dr. Bunting. The pronoun he. And so I'm curious, and this is not a criticism at all. I'm just curious, are most of the professors in your law schools male? because you know, at the College of Law, it's like girl power. There's a lot of women here, so I'm curious what it was like when you got your first professional degree in law.
Actually, well, in Denmark, I think I'm a little bit brainwashed by it. It used to be an all-male profession, but and this is changing. Like as it is now, more students are actually female, more law students in Denmark. But there's still, I think there's still more male professors than there are female, but give it, I would say 10 years maybe, and then the table will turn and it will be more female. But there's also the fact that in our legal codes, and this is some historic thing, we still refer to, when you refer to a person, you refer to it as a man, he. I mean, it's not to be discriminating. That's just, I don't know why they haven't changed it yet. I mean, but yeah.
Yeah, well, we talked about that last week, and we're going to talk about it more in an upcoming week, how the language changes and language evolves, and our language in the United States now is really undergoing a transition. I think Daniel brought that up last week, and we had a really interesting conversation about it. And then one more comment, and I'll leave you alone because I haven't been drilling everybody else with questions like I'm doing with you. I apologize, Renee, but this is not really a question. It's just a comment. At the beginning of your PowerPoint, you said, oh, I apologize because they're so plain. I just want you to know, I got an MBA a couple of years ago, and the first thing that they taught us, you have to do a bunch of presentations in business school, and the first thing they taught us was the simpler your PowerPoints, the better, and it's really best to only have like 3 lines on each PowerPoint. Now, I learned that, and you will see from my PowerPoints, I don't live by that. Sometimes I have PowerPoints that are completely full of words, but don't apologize for that because it's actually simpler for the viewer when there's fewer words and it's, you know, not as much to digest with your eyes. So yeah, well done. Thank you.
Thanks.
And when we finish all of these presentations, I do want, and Angela is up next, but I do want to come back and I want to hear from the rest of you a little bit more about, you know, were your professors male? Were they female? And then I would like for you guys to also ask each other questions about your legal training from your first professional degree in law.
I think that sounds great, but let's move to Angela now. Are you ready, Angela? And you have to unmute, I gotta warn you.
I'm ready.
Oh, good. Can you share your screen? Uh-oh, hello? Can anybody else hear that? I can't really hear.
No, we can't hear. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I think there's an internet connection issue because you're breaking up so much we can't hear you.
No.
Wait, try it again.
Okay, I'm gonna take off my headphones. Can you hear me now?
No. Yeah, that's not going to work. Professor Lawler. Oh my, it's like outer space. I think what might be good, maybe Angela. We can hear something. But maybe.
Yeah, we can't make out the words. What do you think, Dr. Bunny? You want to save one for next week? And maybe if Angela's having, if she's having audio problems, maybe she could come to the College of Law and use the internet connection here to make a presentation.
Angela, one of the things is you can try turning off your video and you might get better audio. Angela? No, it's still not working. I think what might be maybe Angela. Angela, we're going to try and do yours next week, okay? This is one of those moments where we have to say the joy of technology, right? Angela, I think why don't we plan to have you go right at the beginning next week, and hopefully the connection will be better. Okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it sounds like you're underwater. So we're gonna do yours next week. It sounds like you're scuba diving, talking to us underwater. So we'll do yours next week, and if you don't have a reliable, fast Wi-Fi connection, then maybe you can come down to the College of Law next week. No.
Yeah, it's not going to work, Angela, unfortunately. We'll do yours right at the beginning of class next week, okay? Because you'd have to use sign language. And I don't think your video is working. So we're going to move on, but Angela, we'll get yours next week, okay? Don't worry, Angela. We'll get you next week. We'll get you first thing because we want to hear all about it.
Dr. Bunting, is it okay if we talk for just a minute about these presentations in general and give the students an opportunity to ask each other questions that might have occurred to them?
Yes.
Thank you. I would like to ask some of you. So let's see, who was it that showed us their presentation and said that it was many years ago? Because those were the people that I want to ask. Were your professors mostly male or were they all male? So answer me that. If you've got your first professional degree in law many years ago, were most of your professors male?
Oh, that would be me. Only one was female. The rest were all male. Yeah, it's a very long time ago.
I wonder if it's still the same now.
I doubt it.
Your alma mater?
Not at all. Not at all. But I'm sure
it's
they
a
have
long way away, isn't it?
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Too long.
Yeah, I think I had 2 male and the rest of them were female.
Whoa, that's so cool, Mommy. Thank you so much for sharing that. So all but 2 were female. That is so interesting. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you.
Mr. Lawler? Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I had myself on mute. Sorry about that. Yes, I can hear you, Maytal. Thank you.
Almost 20 years considers a long time, so mine was half and half male and half female. So yes, it was even.
Professor, are you hearing me?
Yes, Melissa. Yes, I do hear you, Melissa.
Okay. Well, I don't recall a female professor at all. I don't recall at all. Mine were 99% males. I don't recall a female professor. At least one who would have taught me the subjects that I would have taken. There may have been, I don't recall, females for others, but those who taught me, males were all males.
Interesting. Interesting.
That was very long, very
What
long.
What about in New Zealand, Daniel? What's it like in New Zealand?
So, well, I got my law degree 15 years ago, and it was about half male and female back then. So I did have a question for Renee, if I could ask Renee a question about his presentation.
Sure.
So one of the things that was interesting to me about what you said, Renee, is learning law in sort of a legal code system rather than a common law system. And the reason that's interesting to me is because I think in New Zealand over time there's been movement away from the common law, and increasingly there's more legislation And as a lawyer, I found that to be not very good because the common law seems so much fun. And when you have a statute, it can be quite mechanistic, and it seems like there's not so much for lawyers to do. So I guess I was wondering, what do you think about learning law in a legal code system, and then coming through to the States, which is more of a common law system? Is that something exciting to you?
Yeah, it's exciting and overwhelming also, because I have to like kind of get used to it. But the funny thing is actually what you're mentioning about your common law system in New Zealand, adopting some more of the civil code way, that the other way around is happening in Denmark too, whereas we are adopting some of the common law system where so things are becoming to be more case-based. And I do really, I guess I wouldn't be here otherwise, you know, but I do really like that it's the case-based theme where, because you have something, I guess it makes it sometimes easier to understand and sometimes easier also to remember when you can attach it to a case. Yeah, so the thing is though, it can sometimes be many cases that you have to remember, right? And that's where a legal code kind of is simple in a way, I guess, because you just, okay, I'm thinking about taxes, so I got to look at this kind of tax law in this area, and but then you also have to base it up with legal codes. I don't know if that kind of answered.
Thank you. Yes, that's a very helpful answer.
Yeah, I definitely like the common law system also.
So all those cases that you have to read, that reminds me of the downpour, the downpour of assignments at the College of Law. And now I have a mental image of a
Leila, Professor Lawler?
I think you muted yourself, Leila. Professor Lawler.
Yeah, I was finished. I just said it.
Oh.
I muted myself. Believe it or not, I did it on purpose. It wasn't a technological error. Yeah, I just said that reminds me when you're talking about the massive amounts of case law that you're reading. It reminds me of our presenter who said there is a downpour of assignments at the College of Law, and I will forever have a mental image of a waterfall. As I give assignments, I'm going to see a waterfall behind my students' heads.
Professor Lawler?
Yeah?
I think I have to leave now, if that's all right, if I so I can make it for the next class.
You're coming. Yeah, you'll need to watch the end because Dr. Bunting's going to go over some PowerPoint, so you'll have to watch the end of the lesson
yeah, I will.
online. And if you would, we'll talk offline, but there's in order to get attendance credit, there's a procedure to go through, but I'll email you about it, okay?
Yeah, sounds good.
I'll
Thanks.
see you in a minute. I'll see you downtown.
Sure.
And I will see you in a few minutes.
For sure.
Be safe driving down here. Put a mask on. Bye.
I will. Bye.
So, Professor Lawler, would you like to continue that discussion, or should we move on? What would you like?
Well, does anybody have questions for each other? Well, I do. One person I really am curious about. Where's Ashish? Is Ashish here? There he is. Yeah, he's got a mask on. I didn't see his face. He's right underneath me in my gallery view. How could I not see him? I'm curious about law school in Nepal, if the professors were all men.
No, ma'am, actually it's 50-50. So the most fascinating thing is the number of students, law students, ladies are more than men. Nepal, actually. So
wow, interesting.
Yeah, before 2010, it was around 2,000 lawyers, I guess, who had this law school degree. And now it's more than 2,000. In 10 years, it doubled actually. So, like in Nepal, the chief Supreme Court judges, like 3 to 4 of them, they are like ladies. So we also have like few years back, the Chief Justice of Supreme Court was ladies too. So in law school, like every law school, like 33% the seats is reserved for the ladies. It's like women empowerment, like policy of the government. So, like number of the lady student is like increasing actually. It's like number of students is like, maybe like in 10 years, the ladies lawyers would be like more than the men in Nepal.
Thanks for sharing that. That's really interesting. We think of ourselves as protecting the rights of both genders, or of all genders, I should say, in the United States. But in fact, we don't do such a hot job, particularly with equality of salary. So it's interesting to me to get your take on your first legal experience, your first legal training experience, and what it was like. Thank you for sharing.
Like 33%, like it's every government, like every civil servant, every job, like every time, like the government job, like they announce like vacancies, like 33% is reserved for the ladies, and the ladies with like the law school degree, like they preferred, like the most preferred student actually. So number of these ladies like going to law school is like now like overwhelmingly like has increased in Nepal. Thank you, ma'am.
One thing too, Ashish, that I think we'll be talking about in a few weeks, but it's very interesting in English. One of the term, for example, the word ladies,
yes, ma'am,
can actually be quite a loaded term here in the United States.
Okay.
So, but that's something we'll talk about when we talk about language and gender and things like that. So it's interesting because there's a lot of complexity around those kinds of terms.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So, anybody else?
Can I ask one more question? Dr. Bunting, can I ask one more question?
Sure.
I'm curious. I see Gabby put this in the chat, but in the chat box, but I'm curious who else had those oral examinations like Renee, and I think Gabby really did not like them. She said if she could go back in time, she would make sure she didn't go back before the oral exam that she had in law school. But I'm curious if anybody else had those. I've never done that. I've never had an oral examination. Now, we did have to do like moot court, like oral arguments, and which are kind of like debate, but I've never had an oral examination in my life, and it sounds terrifying.
In Nigeria at the law school, we have what is called portfolio assessment. So basically, during when we have a break in law school, we go for court attachment and chambers attachment. We get to work in a courtroom for about 6 weeks and get to work in a law firm for about 6 weeks. And we have books we are given to document all what we learned during that time. And then when we go back to law school, we have to make a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation, and then we have a panel. We have to talk in front of a panel of lawyers, lawyers and judges, and they ask us questions. So basically we have to defend ourselves and talk about what we learned and all that. And it's also part of our assessment. So I guess it's an exam too. And we do that before taking the bar exam.
An observation. Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, we can hear you, Lily. What's your observation?
Thank you. I want to make an observation about your question. So I was the first generation, like I said, on that school, and all of the professors were men. All of them were older, and it was extremely intimidating for ladies, for women. It was extremely intimidating. About 90 or 95% of the exams were oral, about 10 or 20 minutes of grilling. And I was just talking to Renee that actually, if you take off the pictures from his PowerPoint, that's exactly the system that I was learning. I could take his PowerPoint except the pictures with Denmark.
Wow,
And,
so that's kind of like a common to Europe.
This is it's amazing to me, and I wanted to make this observation because René seems very young to me, and I think he graduated recently versus me like 28 years ago, and we have exactly the same system of learning, exactly the same. And I remember because it was so intimidating for me, and for all the ladies, pretty much. I remember when I was in my youngest ages, I went to acting classes. I went to a course for a couple of months just to be able to act in front of the audience so I can break this in front of the professors, because I knew the material, but I was so inhibited when I was in front of them because they were renowned names, not just in Romania, but all over the Europe. And to have such professors and to be in front of them, and then to really, it was really, really intimidating.
I remember being intimidated too in law school, being called on with 60 to 80 people in the room with me, and to be put on the spot and be called on. But I never had an oral examination. Now, Dr. Bunting had to defend his dissertation to earn a PhD, so he has totally had an oral examination that was administered by a room full of people, but I have never had that experience.
It's traumatic.
I had this experience in Brazil. Some professors, they gave us the midterm as oral, but they let us know what they will, like they say, you need to study for the Article 1 to the Article 100. And then you need to be ready for the questions. And in the day of the test, you sit down face to face with the professor, and he asks you some questions about the material. And I also, in Brazil, in order to graduate, you need to draw an article about any subject, any law subject. And we need to defend it in front of 3 professors. And you only can graduate if you get a minimal grade.
I want to
wait,
add.
Hold on. Wait, what? 24 professors? What?
No,
what?
3 professors, and you need to get a minimal grade in order to be approved to graduate.
Okay, count me out. I like 1 professor, or actually I like 2. I like Dr. Bunting and me together.
I wanted to say that in law school in Nigeria too, after the bar exams, you're graded on your lowest grade. So if we take 4 exams and you get to graduate with like the lowest score, like if you have A's and then you get a C or a D, you're coming out with a pass instead of like a credit. Or so basically that was very scary, and I think it wasn't fair to a lot of people because they were not divided and stuff. So you're graded on your lowest mark. So that was something that I found really unfair.
I would like to add something. In Israel, the bar exam divided to writing and oral. So basically you have a writing test, which is 1 day, almost 4 hours test. And then you have the oral test when you have 2 judges and a lawyer that asking you questions. So that was my experience in Israel.
How many people take the bar exam in Israel? Do you know how many pass? I'm just curious.
I'm not sure. At the time that I took the test, it was a lot of them failed. It was very, very, very hard exam to pass. I'm not sure how many, but I remember this specific test was a big trauma for a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I've heard that from students from Israel previously, that the bar exam is really, really, really hard there.
Very hard. Yeah.
In my law school, we don't have, well, my law school, no. In Venezuela, you don't present the bar. You just graduate and then you just become a member of the chambers. And because of that, my professors in my law school, they decide they are the bar. In what sense? They are the filter. Like my first year, we were 79 students. Second year, we were 34. That only 34 passed to the second year. And that class that my professor had only oral exams, he was a filter on the fourth year. Like, he made sure that we knew what a bar exam could look like. He was my discovery professor.
Our dean, you may remember this, when she welcomed you to orientation, the very first week of orientation, she said, the dean of the law school said this. She said, when I started law school, I sat in a big auditorium, you know, much like what we did, although in COVID we're having to sit 6 feet apart. And when she was in the auditorium, there was somebody on each side of her. And she said, when I started law school, which was, you know, back in the 1990s, the dean of the law school said to the everybody assembled in this auditorium, look to your left, look at the person sitting next to you on your left, look to your right, look at the person sitting next to you on your right. In 3 years, when it comes time for graduation, one of the three of you will not be here. So which will it be? Which of you is going to make it through? And then her message was, and you may remember this, her message was, we don't intend for 1/3 of you to not be here. Our intention is that each one of you is successful and passes this curriculum and then passes the bar exam. So, you know, the experience here is far different than the experience at other law schools, even in the nation.
Yeah, and fun fact, because I was looking at my pensum while you asked how many female professors I had. Out of my 56 classes, I only had 9 female professors. Only 9. Including the clinic one.
Thanks for looking that up.
Regarding oral examination, the LLM program in Iran is thesis-based. So like PhD, that you have to write a thesis and a dissertation, and the student has to go and defend it in front of a panel of professors at the law school. So that's one of the oral examination and evaluation, and it has its own score in order to be able to pass from a LLM degree program. And also, as Nikki explained on her presentation, and like in Israel, when you pass the bar on the day is like almost once a year, and you be able to pass the bar. After you pass the bar, you have to go for about 2 years, 18 months of apprenticeship. And after that, there is another examination, which one part is writing and the second part is oral examination, and it takes 6 days. So yeah, 6 days we have to go and discuss about the legal topics, and it's statutes and all law codes, like the same thing that Renee said. And is that like a case law and stuff? They ask specific questions, and that's oral. That's a different oral examination as well.
John, I have a question.
6 days. That sounds awful. That just sounds miserable, 6 full days. And our bar exam is 2 days, and people complain about it being so difficult in the state of Georgia. But 6 days, again, count me out. I don't want 20 professors like we just heard, and I don't want a 6-day bar exam.
And competition is high too. At my time, I remember 56,000 students enrolled. Yeah. And in order to be able to practice within the Central Bar Association, which is in Tehran, they accepted only 600 students. So I was competing in a for between 56,000 as far as my time, it was that number as far as I remember. I want to just ask Nikki if she remembers a different number, but 56,000 and only 600 was basically could sit for the Central Bar. Of course, they accepted 1,200 total lawyers at that year, and only 600 within the Central, and the other 600 to the other cities and provinces, which was a little bit hard. And
darn,
those who couldn't make it, they had to wait for another year to be able to take the bar exam.
Oh, wow. So if we have Nikki and Sean with us, we have two that made it through this incredible filtering system. That's amazing.
In India, too, like we had the oral exam, but it was not like entirely oral. It was a combination of written and oral exams. So at the last day of our final exam, we would have this panel of teachers, or they would also call somebody from outside of our college, like judges or justices of the high courts, and professor or senior professor of some other law school, and they would come and sit in the panel of, like, there would be a panel of 5 or 5 or 7, and then they would ask us questions about our the courses that we took in that semester. So they can ask anything and everything, and they would ask like very particular questions, like very specific rule of law, or like very problem-based questions. So it was like, and we would be like we were so scared to enter in the class full of like these renowned personalities and judges. So we would be like, those 2 days, and it would be for 2 days, so those 2 days were like very strenuous. We would like study a lot, and they would give us marks out of like 100. So we had to pass it, like in order to it was a part of like the grading system. So we had to pass the pass the oral examination with the written one as well. And with regards to like your question about the gender, so we had like 50-50, so I had like 6 professor in one semester, 6 courses. So out of those, like 3 were female and 3 were male. So it was like kind of 50-50. And my dean of the college law school was also female. So she was, yeah. So in India, I think it's equal kind of, yeah. Female professors are also like, females are also active in legal profession.
Thank you for sharing that. That's very interesting.
Professor?
Yeah?
I'm just curious to find out if anyone has had the experience of doing mock trials at their law school. Because we had for our final year to do a mock trial. Either you're for the defendant or the plaintiff. And so that would be for civil procedure. For the criminal procedure, either you're for the defendant, either the defendant or the prosecution. So we had to prepare and file bundles. We had to do the whole gamut as if we were in a real situation. And we would have a panel that would sit and listen to the trial and would give you a grade on that. So that was, in a sense, part of the oral contribution that we would have made at law school. As it relates to the composition of the gender, I wouldn't have done law school a long time ago. That's about 10 years. And I recall that it was about 50-50. But I can tell you that in Jamaica, the profession is dominated by females. Even our Chief Justice, we have one Chief Justice, and Chief Justice prior to this one now was a female. Our Director of Public Prosecutions, female. Most of our judges are female. The profession is dominated mostly by females. It was not so the case many, many years ago, but it is fast rising to be, you know, mostly female. So we do have some oral aspects to it, but as I said, it is combined. Thank you.
Thank you. That was very interesting. Thank you for sharing. I want to point out, you guys, you know, part of, you have lawyering skills, and then you have that first year professional development and academic success class, which most of you have been watching online. But I want to point out to you, if you have the capability, I teach that class, it's online, but it's on Zoom like this, just like this class that we're having right now. I teach it 3:30 in the afternoon on Tuesday and 3:30 in the afternoon on Thursday. So if you wanted to switch to that, you would be able to. That class may go back to every other week face-to-face. It's just, you know, quite frankly, I think when you watch a recording and you're not able to interact at all, there's a little bit lost in translation. And so I want to make sure that you understand that offer is there for you if you would like to come to that class Tuesday or Thursday afternoon at 3:30. I mean, I'll be really honest with you. I miss seeing you guys. When I teach it on Wednesday night, like I don't see your faces. And so I feel a little bit out of touch with you. And, you know, it's when I'm communicating with people, I communicate with the people that I can see. And so there's something lost in translation for me too. And so I just wanted to make that offer to you, make sure that you know that offer is out there. If you would like to be switched to the 3:30 Tuesday or 3:30 Thursday class, you certainly may. A couple of you have already. A couple of you have reached out to me, but I want to make sure that you know that offer is there. Yeah. Anything else? We've taken so long talking about the presentations that we're running out of time. I want to make a general comment, which is that the presentations were so good. I think Dr. Bunting will feel the same that I do. They were so good that I really am inspired to be teaching this class. I mean, you guys have had experiences when you earned your first professional degree in law that are amazing. The quality of your presentations, the PowerPoints were very well done. And all of you seem to be very comfortable. A couple of you expressed to me that you had nerves. It doesn't show at all. I mean, you all look like accomplished attorneys. And I really, really enjoyed the presentations. Excuse me.
Me too.
So thank you so much for the presentations. Yeah, that's all I've got tonight. Dr. Bunting?
Yeah, maybe we only have a few minutes left, so maybe we can talk for a few minutes about one of my favorite things, the paragraph. And there's going to be an assignment, and one of the things, you know, we moved fully online kind of quickly. So, you know, we're going to try and make this very clear for everybody about deadlines and all of that, because I know there's been some ambiguity, so we're going to work on that. But anytime something is not clear, please feel free to contact either one of us, and we'll make sure we clarify it, because I know all of this online learning is such an adventure. And so let me see what I can do here. See, I think, is that it? Yeah, that's it. All right. Can you see my screen? Good, good. All right. Well, there are a few other things that I was going to talk about, but as you guys noted, we don't have all that much time. So I just want to talk to you briefly about paragraphs and how important that organizational unit is for writing in general, for legal writing, where you're writing in a legal context, and also when you're writing in an academic legal context like the LLM program. So the basic components of a paragraph are the topic sentence, and then those supporting ideas that build upon each other and that are they are within the scope of that topic sentence. One of the things that it's very common to see when someone is writing, especially if you're writing under time constraints, is you start writing in a kind of almost like a stream of consciousness. And you may not necessarily be providing coherence within your organizational units like the paragraph. So you have to realize your topic sentence should be the sentence that covers whatever is going to be in that paragraph. And that you should, in general, make one main idea per paragraph. So if you're going to have a lot of different ideas, well, you have a couple of choices. You either make a lot of different paragraphs, or you combine the related ideas into a larger topic that can then be covered in that paragraph. But you don't want to have sort of just sporadic bits of information that you're dropping in. Even if you think, I need to show that I know this one little item, if it's not connected organizationally to what you're writing, it doesn't work, because then it's not going to be moving your argument or your presentation forward. And so it's very important that you keep your paragraphs cohesive and that there's logic in what you write. And I will tell you again, when you first draft, logic may not be there. That's okay. It's when you go back and you revise, that's when you have to make sure, I'm going to put the logic in here. I'm going to make these connections. Here in US culture in general, but I think, and Professor Lawler, I think, agrees, especially in this legal context, the writer is the person who is responsible for connecting ideas. You don't leave it up to the reader. You as a writer are going to be making things crystal clear for your reader. So first thing that I want to do, and like I say, we only have a little bit of time, and I may add a couple other things to a short video and that I'll post for you. But I want you to start noticing topic sentences. And you can do this, for example, you guys are reading most of you are in the Intro to US Law, right? So in the Courier book, you'll notice this, that each paragraph starts with something that tells you what the scope is of this paragraph. So I am going to ask Nikki, can you read for us this topic sentence?
Sure. Defenders of exceptional government power over non-citizens offer several arguments for not extending the same rights to foreigners that we extend to citizens.
Thank you very much, Nikki. Nicely done. One thing I just want to quickly ask, I put in those 3 dots. Do you guys know what those 3 dots are called?
We should know. We should know.
There's no need to know the name.
We should know. It means there's more to it. There's more to it.
It's better that you know what it means.
It means there's more to it.
That's right, Julia.
Call on me, Dr. Bunting.
Professor Lawler, what is it?
The ... is known as an ellipsis.
Ellipsis.
Said that.
Oh, yeah.
Ellipsis. Oh.
And the reason why I did that is that I took just a little bit of information out of this sentence because I wanted to I didn't want to distract you from that, but that's why that's there.
One thing.
Yes.
I noticed there's no space at the start of that ellipsis. Is that the right convention?
Uh-oh. Now, you see, sometimes I put things in just so I can see if you're paying attention.
Okay, that got a hearty laugh out of me. Actually, I will tell you this, the Blue Book, it's different in law than in other areas. And the Blue Book prescribes that you put a space between each dot too. So in law, we really space out the ellipsis. And when you start studying the Blue Book, you'll see that. So, but Dr. Munning just wanted to make sure you noticed that. And indeed you did, user.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel, because that does help illustrate the point. And I will mention, anytime if you see something that I put up there and you notice that there's something that's not quite right, I did it on purpose, just so you could, stay interested and notice. Do you believe me? Okay. So now, but when you look at that sentence, you should have a sense, if this is a well-written topic sentence, you should have a sense about what's coming next. Any ideas what might be coming next? What content? Or what would it be about?
Supporting ideas?
Yeah, it could be the supporting ideas, those several arguments maybe. That's one of the things that it could be. It could be a further explanation of the content, of the concept. Yeah, but certainly that could be one of the things. So now let's see if I can, okay, oh, there it is. Jose, can you just do me a favor and read, you don't have to read the topic sentence, but read the other stuff. And as he's reading it, I want you guys to notice it too, because to me, this is fascinating information.
Okay, foreign nationals have taken no oath of loyalty to this country and presumably maintain their principal fidelity elsewhere. While citizens have a right to permanent residence in the United States, foreign nationals have no constitutional right to reside here. The political branch's broad authority over immigration justifies diminished rights in the immigration setting. Foreign nationals come and live among us as our guests on whatever conditions we set. And if we were to extend to foreign nationals the same rights that citizens enjoy, we would devalue citizenship itself. For these reasons, it is said, treating foreign nationals differently does not violate basic norms of equality and dignity, but simply reflects that they are in fact different.
Thank you, Jose. So one of the things that you may notice here, first of all, who's this person writing to?
Americans.
And what tells you that he's writing to Americans? What pronouns?
Well, he says us and our.
Yeah, he all of a sudden there's a very possessive thing. So I agree with Daniel that certainly from looking at this paragraph, you're going to say this is probably someone from the United States writing to other people, from citizens of the United States, the way that they're writing this. And let me ask you this, when you look at this paragraph, is this the writer's position? That we have this minimizing the rights of foreign nationals or foreigners?
I guess the writer was explaining the differences, how they evaluate the citizenship status, I guess.
Yeah, I agree with Sean. I think he's more neutral. We don't know, like, whether.
So maybe, yeah, maybe, are there any phrases in here that you see that might tell you that the writer may not be fully on board with this idea?
Defenders, the very first word.
Yeah, defenders. And does anyone see anything else maybe in that last sentence?
It is said.
Yeah, that phrase, it is said. So notice just those things there. The writer, when the topic sentence will tell you as you read it that the writer's presenting something, but maybe it's not such a the strongest or most powerful argument, perhaps. And then he comes back and sort of reemphasizes that right at the end. But notice that all of this paragraph is all connected to the several arguments for not extending the same rights to foreigners.